Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Bahasham, YAHWAH, Bahasham, Rachakodash. I want to send double honor to my elders and apostles at Great Millstone, taught me the truth and rule well, peace, love, and safety. And to the hopeful elect document out there doing this work. Much love as well to the scattered elect and to the few sincere women that subscribe to the true doctrine. This is the brother Yakar Lamoth for the Great Millstone Camp, the branch out here in Omaha, Nebraska. And I'm coming back with another lesson, Lord willing, to feed and to edify the lost sheep of the nation of Israel through the Holy Spirit, YAHAWAH. And I wanted to get into this lesson over this article that I was reading into, which, a lot of it is, well, actually, let's see, it's from saloon.com, and the title of the article, If the Ultra-Rich Want to Escape from Reality, Good Riddance. Right, which this was published this year, February 16th. Now, a lot of it, is opinionated, but there are some good points in here that correlates with today. And it brings up these different movies that show apocalyptic type endings, which I haven't seen all of them that he's mentioning in here, but he makes some good points. So I want to touch on a few points in here. And get some scriptures, man, because what it's going into is how these super rich, the one percenters, they know something's about to hit the fan. This is why they're building these underground doomsday bunkers or doomsday houses, whatever you want to call them. But you're not going to be able to escape the wrath of YAHAWAH. All right? So without further ado, we're going to get into it, get a few scriptures, and we're going to call it that. All right, so I'm not going to start at the top of this article because, like I said, a lot of that was his opinion, which he was just going on a tangent. So I'm going to let me see. I'm going to start at the third paragraph, right? So it says, frankly, this is a load of crap in many different ways, but far too many people are taking it seriously, which, he's, kind of going into being opinionated as well. But, there is something to be taken seriously because these heathens, they're building bunkers, okay? They're building these safe houses in case things hit the fan, which, things are about to hit the fan. They've been making these bunkers, throughout different parts of the world for years now. Okay, the super rich, I'm sure they've already had one. Those elite bankers, the Rothschilds, the Gettys, DuPonts, the super rich. But you got other individuals, that have that type of money that are getting bunkers too because they see what's going on. They see the rising tensions between America and Russia. All right, they see that right now, Trump is shaking things up, and you got a lot of people coming out of there from under their rock, preparing for a civil war, preparing for race riots, all right? So, they, as they're watching this, you goddamn right they're going to use the money that they have to make sure that they don't have to deal with it, all right? They don't have to deal with shit hitting the fan, just to say it frankly, all right? But let's read on. It says, there's something morbidly fascinating about the super rich preppers who are building massive, expensive bunkers in case the manure hits the fan. It's not fiction either. Plenty of people in the top half of the 1% are contingency planning for just a scenario. An escape to New Zealand or the deep woods of upstate New York if climate change, civil unrest, some high mortality pandemic, or whatever causes the collapse of society, or at least global capitalism can no longer sustain itself. So they're preparing, right, for things to get bad, And, I've seen this video. Lord willing, I can find it, and I'll post a clip toward, in post-production at the end of this video, where you had, it was like, I believe it was an Airbnb. This lady, she was walking through an Airbnb, and she was like, fascinated that it had an underground bunker, a doomsday bunker in it. Just casually walking through it. And it was decked out too, man. So when things are hitting the fan and, the average everyday American is getting tore up, getting unalived by these diseases, getting getting struck down by these thermonuclear missiles. With everything going bad in society, while you're getting tore up and having to suffer these things, they're safely in their bunkers with their feet kicked up, just relaxing, behind double, triple bolted doors so people can't get in, But these type of things, this is a real life scenario, man. And it's in the scriptures. So let's get into the scriptures, right? The first one is the book of Amos, right? We have to get this Amos. This is the book of Amos 9, verse 2, right? It says, though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them, right? And that hell is not an actual hell, all right? Because hell is just a pit or a grave, right? In order to dig a pit or in order to have a pit or a grave, you have to do digging to make doomsday bunkers. You have to do the same thing. You have to dig into the earth, okay, in order to make a safe house. All right? It says, though they dig into hell, then shall my hand take them. And how is his hand going to take them? He's going to take them through the Lord's elect. All right? We're going to, Lord willing, I'm part of that number myself. But, the Lord's elect are going to play a role in getting their hands on these heathens, man. Okay? You're going to make it down into those bunkers with spiritual power from YAHAWAH. Snatch their ass right up out of there, man. All right? Now, we do know that the super rich, as it tells us in the book of Psalms, 149, that they're going to be the first fruits of slavery in the kingdom of Yasharallah. All right? Which these are the individuals that's going to be down in those bunkers. And they're going to, they're going to get snatched up, man. Period, point blank. And though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Well, they try to build these, these hotels out of town, hotels out in space. Okay. Yeah, guess what? You can do all this with your, all the technologies that you have to make it up to the heavens. Okay. You can't pass a certain point because of how the Most High has the atmosphere set up where you can't pass the ionosphere. All right. But as far as you can go up in the heavens, you're trying to. And Most High gonna snatch your ass up from up there too. Or he gonna have those chariots zapping your ass out of there. But you ain't going to be able to escape, Esau. Neither are the rest of you heathen nations. You're not going to be able to escape the judgment that's coming. Right? So, let's see. Yep. And it says, though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. Right? Which that serpent is talking about Leviathan. Okay, Leviathan gonna get his dentures on somebody too, right? So you're not gonna be able to. Most High, he controls everything, man. Did he not say that he created heaven and earth, all the things that are in heaven, that things that are on earth, things beneath? So you're not gonna. How you gonna hide from the eye of Yahweh Shema Shai? No one can. Okay, and Esau Edom, just a sidebar, he does that right now with all this espionage that he's doing on the American people, where you can't escape the eye of Esau Edom. You got these big ass TVs that are black mirrors. They're they're spying on what the hell you're doing in your house. All these different forms of technology, be it through these phones. There was an article that came out a couple of years ago where it mentions that how Esau Edom can have a full blown image of you. As long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, he can have a full-blown image of you in darkness. As long as so he's watching what you're doing. Let's get this real quick. Do you think he is the Most High? I said this was a sidebar, but this is very important too. This is the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, and verse 3. It says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition," which this is talking about in 70 A.D. Okay, when the temple was sacked by Titus. Okay, and Israel was, Israel went into captivity. All right, Israel had to suffer persecution around this time. All right. And who did, by the hand of Esau, Edom, the same individual that's ruling the earth now. As it says in Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. It says, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is called God, or that is worshipped. So any God that you believe in, Esau, Edom, think he's above that. Now we worship our Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH, whom this world ignorantly calls God, and YAHWAH, whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. These heathen nations, they worship whoever they worship. They don't worship the same power that we do. But Esau, Edom don't give a damn. I'm better than all them gods, is what he says. Or that is worship, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. Okay? So this is why he doing things like spying on you, or trying to, not, because the Most High don't spy on you. The Most High has his angels that are collecting data throughout the earth. All right? Esau, Edom is trying to do the same thing, be in technology. All right? Just put those two things together. All right? So now I want to get a little bit more into this article. Not too much more. But because it just goes to show you that this is reality. All right? So getting back into the next paragraph of this article. All right, it says, that's the next article. I'm going to jump down to the next paragraph. I'm going to read the next two paragraphs, which are fairly short. It says, such blueprints and escape scenes are in vogue and probably for sale near you. I'm not above occasionally Zillow surfing multimillionaire properties, blah, blah, blah. I'll skip that. It says in his 2022 book, Survival of the Richest, Escape Fantasies of Tech Billionaires, Rushkoff illustrates how this attitude permeates everything from seasteading to space colonies. Writing whether on land or on sea or in outer space, the quest for self-sovereignty is less important as an example of apocalypse preparedness than it is as an expose of the underlying. So they're ready to leave our asses behind. And they did mention that movie in here, all right, which was when you had pretty much a collapse of society. Everything shut down. There were planes falling out of the sky. Okay, there was you had the ship that came up on the seashore, on a beach shore. Okay, in which these things really were happening. All right, after that movie, those things really were happening. All right, so they know something's going, and they had safe houses on there. You had super rich that had safe houses on that movie, man. Okay, so they're prepared to leave your ass in the dust. But they're hiding in their bunkers, man. Okay, and that's ultimately because Esau, he knows that judgment is coming for his ass, man. So he's trying to get out of the way. All right, let's get this last precept. I don't want to drag it out too much. And I'll post the article in post-production, Lord willing. All right, I believe it's in Revelation, what I'm looking for. Yep, this is Revelation chapter 6. Let's go up to verse 12, right? It says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Right, which there were signs in the heavens. All right, which there was a blood moon that happened recently, man. On the Lord's Passover. Okay, and these are signs in the heavens, and we believe these signs in the heavens that have been given to us by the Lord. Now we don't make worship of them and worship the moon or worship the sun, but we pay attention to these signs that the Lord sends us. That's another reason why we know that we're towards the end of this thing, right? And the stars of heaven fell from the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken up a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island removed out of their places. And that's talking about thermonuclear destruction. Okay? that scroll is, that mushroom cloud. And it says every mountain, every government, every establishment and island were moved out of their places. Because that's that great shaking, man. When those missiles hit this earth, they're going to rock the earth. And it says that in the book of Matthew. So I'll get that in the next, and I'll end it off with that. But it says that the earth shall reel to and fro, man. All right. It says, and they're reading on in Revelation. In fact, let's get that real quick before I move on. All right, it's the book of Isaiah 24, and verse 20. It says, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be moved like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Because America, Babylon the Great, which is also correlated with being Egypt, the house of bondage, it says that Egypt is going to be a desolation and full of doleful creatures. Okay, it's going to be full of serpents. It's going to be a desert land, man. After the destruction of YAHAWAH takes care of it, it's going to be a place not inhabited. And that can be read in the book of Isaiah, the same book of Isaiah, chapter 13. All right, where it says this shall not be inhabited. Right. So now let's get back to finish this Revelation 6. I don't know why it drops my spot. Revelation 6, verse 15, it says, and the kings of the earth, and the great man, and the rich man, and the chief captains, and the mighty man, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens of in the rocks and of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall upon us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. So that's what them trying to go into these bunkers, that they may hide from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, which is YAHAWAH, and from the wrath of the Lamb, YAHAWAH, because he's going to come back. YAHAWAH is going to be the deliverer of Israel, and he's going to be the leader on the destruction that's coming. He's going to have his chariots. He's going to have Michael the archangel right next to him. They're going to have their chariots, right? Esau Edom. Now you have Esau Edom is going to try to use his military to fight back against the Lord, but he's not going to prevail. All right, they're going to lose traumatically. But you have these super rich that ain't never fought a day in their life. So much is probably never even broke a nail. They're going to be sitting in the bunkers, watching the destruction go on. Okay. So, that they're going to be scared because they know that they done wrong, man. Esau Edom knows who the Lord is. He knows who the Lord's people is. That's why he portrays himself as the people of the Lord. Close but no cigar, man. Over in the land of Israel, calling yourself the chosen people, when you are just a bastard dwelling in Ashdod. All right, you're a straight up bastard who the Lord don't have no type of love for. And this is a couple of scriptures that backs that up to say, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. All right. Now finish right here. It says, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Now the elect of YAHAWAH are going to survive. Now some of the Lord's servants may maybe put to death. All right. But there's going to be a great deliverance for the nation of Israel. Without YAHAWAH, without those names, without the protection of YAHAWAH, there's no way you're going to escape this judgment. None of us, unless you're of the elect. And this is why we push the names so adamantly, man, because there's no other name under heaven whereby men must be saved. Okay, and that's written in the book of Acts, the 4th chapter and the 12th verse. Right, so I'm gonna end it off here. And I pray that this was edifying. Like I said, Lord willing, I will post this article in post production and that video if I can find it. But yep, I'm going to leave it there. With that being said, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto YAHAWAH. Bahasham YAHAWAH, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and safety is to the hopeful elect Akim. Shalom.